So I'm having terrible trouble with keeping the microphone on my body and my trousers around my waist. A little pack at the back. Baggy trousers. All right. So this, there's my clicker. This is a very boring slide because it could be very boring, this topic, but I like to think I can sort of inject a bit more fun into it. So the future's bright, future's communal. I mean this in two ways. I should mention at this point I'm from a digital agency, so it's going to be very digital, very internet. And I think this is about both shared ownership of things, sharing things around, and I think it's also about very localized communities, right? So I'm talking like your close friends, your family, your co-workers, places where you live, okay? So we are natural beings. We're part of nature, and we're governed by natural rules, as long as you've got sensible footwear and a bag full of sandwiches. And really, I think, you know, we've spent a lot of time trying to like command the world around us, right? And digital's really helped us do that, put these structures in place. And I think we're at the cusp of a big change, right? Because we're actually just natural humans. And anyone who's picked up a Malcolm Gladwell book will tell you that it's all about communities of 150. That's how we operate best. And after that, you lose relationships. And I think we're starting to turn back towards that. But at the same time, I think, you know, we've got entire industry based on our ability to be able to have relationships with many people at scale. So why should you care? I mean, Kanye doesn't care. He really doesn't. So I think it's a fundamental change with the way that people have relationships in the digital space. And I think there's also a fundamental change with the expectations that people have on the products and services and brands that they buy and engage with. So this is an incredibly complicated slide. Sarah tells me it's a favorite. It's to sort of articulate an idea from Scott Galloway. I've lifted it. And he's basically saying that this is the rise of the visual web, okay? And I'm going to extrapolate that idea a bit further. So Instagram, loads of engagement, okay? But Facebook over here, a bit less engagement, okay, on this side. What this is saying is we don't really have relationships with pictures. We're not engaging with communities and having conversations with pictures, okay? I think, you know, what is happening is that these traditional social channels have become media avenues, right? So now Facebook is saying that you can expect a 0% organic reach from posts, right? So you have to pay everything in behind it. And in response to that, people are starting to move into these very localized and closed communities, okay? So WhatsApp, Mark Zuckerberg knows this because he paid 100 times more than he should have for WhatsApp because his business is about linking brands with people, and if they leave your platform or it just becomes another media stream, then he's done for. WeChat, so this is about, you know, China, 50% of their content is shared through the WeChat platform. 80% of people who are connected to the internet in China will have WeChat, okay? So it was quite simple to start with, So it was quite simple to start with. We would take your brand behaviors and your brand values and then turn them into behaviors and then find a channel and make it work, right? And it was all about, I'm a brand, I've got a lovely thing to say, and we build a community around us. And then we need to disrupt within that, and that's where Lee Ryan comes in. Very disruptive use of a channel was him going on to MTV Cribs and showing that he still lived with his mum. I thought that was brilliant. But really, if we are unable to have these sorts of two-way relationships with our consumers on those traditional social channels now, we're now relying a bit more on things like personalization to have these sorts of relationships. Now, personalization is not about this. This is just automated targeting, and it goes wrong. That's a baseball bat and a balaclava. It's madness. But really, proper personalization comes down to control and being able to give control over. If I'm talking about people moving away from traditional big broadcast and having a community and a relationship with any odd, you know, Tom, Dick, or Harry, and I'm thinking much more about this closed community, we need to start thinking about how we can give control back to people in the engagement that we have, right? So these are great examples of personalization where there's control. Google Now, excellent stuff. I can't go into it too much because I'm supposed to be slashing time out of this. Big data. It's not all about big data. Big data has its limitations. I like big data, and I cannot lie, but I don't think it's the be-all and end-all, right? The reason I'm talking about it here is because I think we need to relinquish some control over data. And some brands don't necessarily know how to get the most power out of the data that they have, so they've been much more forward thinking about exploding it up and see what we can do with it. So this is an amazing creative execution of how you can use some exciting data to tell a lovely story. And there's even brands that are starting to build business models around helping consumers access their own data. So this is all about taking a photograph of your anatomy, be that your face or whatever. And then you get the perfect fitting, most amazing stuff off the back of it. So it's this idea of really relinquishing control out to the audience. But audiences, as we're moving in towards these really tight, closed communities, we're starting to take control over products. Right? And this is where it starts to get interesting. So this is Skylock. It's about a lock that you put on your bike and you can unlock with a code via an app. But interesting, what this represents is people who have the closed communities taking those products and making it work for them. Okay? The idea of product ownership is really being brought into question with this. Okay? You may share a bike amongst your friends. You may have a bike with your family. You can just leave it around. And it's not something that just applies to products that are new and new ventures. Okay, so this is something that's happening in France. It's about sharing washing machines. It's not that exciting, but really, it's starting to make these products and services work within those closed communities. So I think where I'm trying to land with this is that it's going to be harder for us to find these closed communities. They're taking products and they're making them work for themselves. So really, what does that mean for our brand and our brand relationships with those people? Because we've spent too long, in my opinion, sitting down and saying, we're a lovely brand, let's build a community around us. Whereas really, these communities are being formed by themselves, and we should be thinking about how we can have our brand nimble enough, malleable enough, to suit the needs of these communities, because there will be hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of them. I'm not just talking about a small town. I'm talking about your brand's existence in all of these different niches. So it's something that can be quite exciting. This idea of giving over control can be a little bit scary, but this is actually some project that I've worked on in America recently. I can't talk too much about it, but we worked in co-creation to help people take control of their health, right? And we offered them anything they wanted. Right? We were in quite a lucky position to do that. What is going to help you change your health? And the most important thing that came back from it is their ability to contribute to the rest of their community. What would keep someone on track is feeling as if what they are doing is going to spur someone else on. Okay? And I think ultimately we can have faith in humans and communities to do the right things with our brands and make them work better, solve those problems that we can't possibly plan for up front. Okay? There's always going to be some people who do idiotic things with your brands, but really, it's happening already, so you may as well be more prepared. So my message here is really, don't be afraid about sharing your brand and letting your communities take it on for themselves. Thank you.